Hello. So I was just getting, I'm just getting out of the shower now, but when I was just in the shower a few minutes ago, the Lord wanted me to make this word and say, as kind of like a disclaimer, and say that the words I put out on my channel aren't for every single person per se specifically that comes across my channel and or the average Joe, so to speak, okay? The Lord said to me that there's a conglomeration. That's not a word. I know I'm familiar with the word, but that's not a word that I use. But the Lord said a conglomeration of people that have been coming up against his kids, okay? So I've had a conglomeration of people coming against me because I'm one of the Lord's children, against others, specifically chosen ones. Because as we've talked about several times on this specific channel, and others have mentioned it on their channels, the chosen ones have missions that they are actively serving out. They're on active duty, the Lord is saying, right? Because we're his army. They are on active duty. They're not off, they're not on break, they're on active duty. They're either currently on assignment and mission as we speak, or they were just on one and they're waiting to go out again, or they haven't been dispatched yet, you know what I'm saying? But his army, his true anointed and appointed ones, are on active duty, waiting for their call, or else out in the field already, working on behalf of the Lord, okay? Like I said, the Lord said a conglomeration. So I went ahead and I looked that up, and I can't retrieve it right now because I'm recording on my phone and it'll stop the video. But it was basically clarifying and saying exactly how the Lord phrased it to me. He asked, I didn't want to look it up. He asked me to look it up. He asked me to do that sometimes, almost to test him. Like, he'll give me words and I'm like, is that the word you really meant? Like, that's not a word. I know that word, but I don't use that word, right? Like, that's, like, I know the word conglomeration, but that's a very specific word. And the Lord's like, look it up and see. You're going to see how it's exactly what I'm telling you. And sure enough, on Webster's dictionary, it's exact. Look it up yourself if you like. It's exactly how he said it to me. So how he phrased it is that there's a conglomeration of people. And when I looked up the word definition for conglomeration, it said that it was a mixture of different people, you know, like a mix, right? And so what the Lord was trying to say when he said that is that the people that are coming against you, it's such a varying group of people. And the Lord is saying that the enemy did this, what he thought was strategically. It's not, if the other team knows what you're doing, it's not very strategic now, is it? Right? And so you yourself know that the enemy was choosing certain individuals specifically, right, to come against you. And I talked about this in the word yesterday, is that I've talked about this actually several times. There is like one or two or three main perpetrators against you, but like I've said before, that the Lord's given me reference of like a pyramid. And as we know, the peak of a pyramid is very narrow and sharp, and then the bottom portion of a pyramid is very wide, right? So meaning that the bottom tier people that have been coming against you, they're not as gung-ho as the next top layer all the way to the top is, right? As we talked about before, as an example, like with a pyramid scheme, it starts with one head honcho up at the top, trickles down to two other VIPs, you know, people in position, not power or importance, just people in position. And that's what the IP stands for. So various people in position. And then it goes down from there to like the little minions who don't have as much to gain or don't have as much teeth in the game, that they're not as concerned as like the head honchos are, because with a pyramid scheme, the money like trickles back up to that head honcho, right? And so that's kind of a similar symbolism in your life, is that you have this pyramid of people that have been coming against you. And I don't know, everybody's different. Some people have 5 people coming against them, some it's 10, some it's all the way up to like 100 people, right? Everybody's different. But either way, it's multiple people coming against you. Some of them have this kind of agenda and only come against you in this way. Others have this kind of an agenda and come against you this way. But all of these people are being directed and dispatched out by the devil because they haven't sold their life to Christ. So therefore they're fit for duty, the Lord is saying. They're fit for duty to work for the kingdom of darkness and to work for the devil and to do his bidding because they're puppets. They're his puppets, right? They're his minions. So, it doesn't like me talking about it, so it's time to cough, right? Always coughing, distraction, something with the phone cutting out, something, right? Always something. I rebuke you, devil, in the name of Jesus. That's another way, side note, the Lord is saying that's another way to tell a false prophet from a real one, is if everything is just so perfect in their video, right? They look perfect, the house is perfect, there's not a single glitch with them or their video, everything is just, perfect cinematography all the way, the script, the lighting, they're prepped, prepared. That's a false prophet 100, right? Because the real true prophets that are truly working on behalf of the Lord, the devil is against them, period. So the devil's going to constantly try to interfere and send interference or a distraction or a delay or some sort of something, because that's how the devil works. Do you think the devil's going to have you doing God's work and just kick back and say, oh, I'll let them do it. Off you go. Enjoy. No. So that's another discerning fact, okay, is that if you're tuning into so-called prophetic voices / chosen ones, and everything is just, it looks like, they spend a lot of time, money, effort, and energy on everything, that's usually a good indicator that the Lord's not there, okay? But those that have, they just wing it, they got out of the gym, no makeup, they look half asleep and they're like making a quick word, or the video, there's static interference, or someone calls them, and you know what I'm saying? Something like that. It's not so put together. That's a good chance that they're working for the Lord, because they're just taking the moment. Like for me, I just got out of the shower and that's when I'm posting this word. The Lord asked me to. I'm not even dressed, right? And this is another reason why I don't do video on my channel, is because I never know when the Lord knows that he wants me to just grab and start recording and start uploading ASAP. He doesn't want me waiting around to get my makeup on, getting my lighting right, getting my house tidy, all this stuff. He just wants to give me the word, have me record it and put it out. And so to have that go off without a hitch properly, I just don't have video. And look at all the interference I go through when I don't even have video. Imagine if I did. And so the Lord probably anticipated that, right? So anyway, so that's another little thing too, is that if you're wondering, why doesn't she have video? Because, the focus shouldn't be on me and my house and my background and how cute I look and how cute my house looks and where I'm at and all this other stuff. The focus should be on the word and what I'm telling you. And when you have a black screen or just nothing, it allows you to focus more on my voice and what I'm saying, as opposed to getting distracted by other things, right? Because like we say, the devil moves in distraction. So anyways, going back to the message, the Lord is saying that there's a conglomeration of people that have been coming up against you, child of God / chosen one, okay? You already know this. This conglomeration is a multiplicity of people. It's not just a handful. It's quite a few, right? Again, everybody has a different journey. But in this conglomeration of people, what they share in common is that whether they think they work for the devil or not, whether they think they're a Christian or not, whether they have good intentions or not, it doesn't matter. They all are a part of the world. You can be a good person and still be stuck in the world. You could have, love Jesus and God and still be stuck in the world. And as long as you're stuck in the world, the devil can access you and use you. That's the agreement that he has with God. So you could go to church every Sunday. If you're still in the world, the devil can use you. You can call yourself a Christian and sow tithes and offerings and pray every day. If you're still in the world and entertaining things of the world, then the devil can still use you, right? The devil tries to access all of us, but the agreement is that as long as you're a part of the world, the devil can access you. And this is important. This is crucial. Because the Lord is saying that some of these people that come against you, they work for the devil straight up. They literally don't care about God. They may pretend on the surface that they're a decent person, but so do serial killers, right? They will pretend they're a good person too, but they're really obviously not deep down, right? That's the same thing. That's how psychopaths operate, right? Is that they think that they're of a good stock. They come off like they are, but deep down inside, they're really not, right? And it's because they're in the world. So the Lord is saying some of these people that come against you, they don't have a reverence for God. They don't want to have anything to do with God. They are part of Satan's dark team, dark side, and that's what they choose. That's what they want. They enjoy that. Others of them call themselves Christians. They're maybe not psychopathic. They're not narcissistic. They're decent people. They truly are to their core, but they're still in of the world. So because they're in and of the world, the devil can use them to come against you, okay? Most times these people do it unknowingly. The devil's kids do it purposely, intentionally. They have a heart full of darkness, a heart full of evil. Others that come against you maybe don't have a black heart full of darkness and evil, but they can, if they have even a tinge of jealousy against you or anything, bitterness or unhealed wounds of themselves, inside themselves, and they're in and of the world, and they haven't fully accepted Jesus Christ into their life and been fully saved and delivered, they can come against you too and be used just as adequately as the other ones can, right? So the Lord is saying some of these people have no religion at all. They don't call themselves on the devil's side or God's side, but because they're a worldly person and they haven't been saved and delivered, they can be used against you, and they do come against you. The devil, unfortunately, can access them. So from this perspective, it doesn't matter if you're a complete psychopath, narcissist, or if you go to church on Sundays and fancy yourself a Christian and a good person. In scenario A and scenario B, both peoples can be used by the devil and are and have been used by the devil. Okay? Like I said, that's the agreement that the devil and God have together. The only way that these people can stop being used effectively by the devil is if they, 1, turn away from the world, and 2, accept Jesus Christ in their heart, and 3, get fully saved and delivered. And that's in no particular order. Obviously, number 1 is being saved and delivered and having Jesus, but I'm just saying, I'm not trying to rank things. I'm just saying those are the 3 ways that a person can stop being an army man for the devil, okay? But because these people are doing that, they continue to come up against you. And some of them, the Lord's saying, this is why it's important to forgive them and pray for them, is because some of them do not know what they do. Like when Jesus was crucified, the Pharisees were up front and center, right? But that was of no strangeness. Like, that they were coming against him from the very beginning. But there was also onlookers that just joined in, right? And they didn't really have any skin in the game, as they say, to come against him, but they still did anyways, simply because of the fact that they weren't saved and delivered and they were part in the world, so therefore they could get roped into the rest of the crowd. They were easily persuaded, right? And so that's the thing is, but those that followed Jesus, that had a heart of God and who were truly saved and delivered, they were against this. They were weeping, they were crying, they were praying for a different outcome. You know what I mean? So what's the difference? One team inside was saved and wasn't a part of the world, and the other team wasn't, right? So the Lord is saying, there's a conglomeration of people that have been coming against you, and it makes up it's basically a variety pack. This is why the Lord wants you to forgive, is because not all of them are psychopathic, okay, and intentional and purely evil. Some of them are, and chances are those ones are the lead instigators, the lead perpetrators, the orchestrators, okay, devil's right-hand people. But then other of them are on the bottom of the pyramid. They're the lesser ones. I don't know how the army ranks, how there's like sergeants and like generals and things like that. I don't know all that, but that's what the Lord is showing me, is that how the military has a ranking system of like lieutenants, first recruits, things like that, and how it goes up through experience, the ranking system goes up. It's the same thing on God's team and the devil's team. And so there's like a pyramid effect where the bottom is like the first recruits, and these ones are maybe people that don't have as much skin in the game against you, maybe aren't pure evil psychopathic, maybe they fancy themselves a good person, maybe in ways they are a good person, maybe they do donate to charity, maybe they do act nice and pleasant in the world, right? But at the end of the day, they're still in the world and they aren't saved and delivered. So that's a problem for you and for anyone, because they can be infiltrated by the devil, and they do work for the devil, whether they realize it or not. Then you have like the next level, who are a little bit maybe more evil and wicked than those ones, maybe not as good of a person, therefore more easily infiltrated, and you start to get narcissistic tendencies, right? And maybe these are people that knew you once and felt bitter against you for no known reason, but they just did because of the fact that you're a child of God, chosen one, and they got infiltrated by the devil. You didn't become chosen or a child of God in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You've always been chosen. You've always been a child of God. You just were mixed up in the world because you're around worldly people that kept you in the worldly sense. But once you became aware of your surroundings and yourself, you made that switch of crossover and accepted Jesus Christ in your heart and became fully saved and delivered, baptized in the Spirit, as they say. And once you became baptized in the Spirit, you left the world behind, told the devil to kick rocks for good, and now you're public enemy 101. But these people that are coming against you, say in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years since this has all started unfolding, this wasn't brand new with you and brand new with them, that you and them might have had beef 10, 15 years ago. It was because even though they were in the world and you were in the world and you were a sinner, they were a sinner, the devil knew that you had the mark of being chosen, a child of God. You know how they talk about like the mark of the beast? Well, you have the mark of God on you, and you were born with it. And the devil knew that. That's why he'd been trying to take you out from day one, A1, right? And that's why the people have been against you from the very beginning, since you were in diapers. Whether it started out with your family, then it went to friends, then it went maybe being bullied in school, then it was partnerships, then it was bosses and co-workers. It just, as you went throughout your life, it was more and more layers of adversity, right? And that was because I've talked about this before on past words. That was the devil using whoever, whenever, however, whatever that he could to come against you, right? Because he knew that down the road you were going to be where you are today, that you were going to be saved, you're going to be baptized in the Spirit, you're going to have a heart for Jesus. Maybe you're going to be like me, where you're publicly speaking on it, you're trying to save souls, etc., etc. And because of that, the devil's coming at you both guns. Before it used to be one gun, now it's 2 guns blazing, because in the past, you were still in the world. You're not anymore. In the past, he could still infiltrate you in ways he can't anymore. In the past, you weren't fully submerged and baptized in the Spirit. Now you are. In the past, you weren't trying to go against his kingdom in the fashion that you are, but now you are, right? And so therefore, that's a problem. So that is why he spent this last X amount of time that you've been following the Lord, trying to up the ante and coming against you. And one of the ways he ups this ante is by recruiting new and more people to come against you. But the majority of these people are not new. These people look like ex-partners, some even from 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. These people look like people you went to high school with that maybe didn't like you back when, or maybe you even were friends with. But you've been estranged from them for the last 10, 15, 20 years, however long high school was for you. These people could look like family members, either close ones or extended ones, like second or third cousins, right? These people can look like old co-workers, a job you worked out when you were 15, a job you worked out when you were 21. Like the enemy, as long as probably 90% of the people that you've ever known in your life were in the world. Even the ones that consider themselves Christians, even the ones that you maybe saw claim to be sold out to God, and they were praying, they were tithing, they still were in the world. They weren't fully baptized in the Spirit. So therefore, whether on a scale of 1 to 10 you're sitting at a 1 or a 10, it doesn't matter. you're still easily able to be infiltrated by the devil, simply because the agreement is with God that as long as these people are in the world and they're not fully baptized in the Spirit, it doesn't matter if they have a heart for God, like if they care for God or if they don't, if they consider themselves good or evil, if they think that God is great or horrible. It's irrelevant. They're in the world and they're not fully baptized in the Spirit. So therefore, because of those factors, they can be infiltrated, right? But like I put out in yesterday's word, the Lord does want to save some of these people. He understands that some of these people, there's a mixture, okay? So some are good, some are bad, some are really evil and wicked, some are only a little bit evil and wicked. Some are psychopathic and narcissistic, some are just, jealous of you or bitter or unhealed trauma. Meaning that if they healed their trauma, if they went to see like a counselor or stopped their addictions, like if they healed whatever's plaguing them, and because their issue isn't always with you, it's with themselves projected onto you, right? There's things they went through in their life where the devil was after them too. And these things in them are unhealed. And because these things in them are unhealed, it allows them to stay in this delusional state, that I was referred to on here. And when they're in that delusional state, the devil can easily like seduce them and get them to go do things, whether they want to or not, realize they are not. If they really knew the facts, how they could turn their life around and where they were really living out from, if they were to really see things for how they really were, they'd probably stop yesterday. But the devil doesn't want them to stop. He wants them to continue to work for him. So therefore, he will continue to keep them in this delusional state. And if they're under the influence of drugs, even better. Alcohol, even better, because every time that they take in that drug or alcohol, it just suppresses them all the more, to where they're able to, to just, thank you, Lord, lose their inhibitions. They lose their inhibitions, so then they're more easily able to be used to do his bidding, right? And so the Lord is saying, for those people in that situation, he wants to save them. And that's the word I put out yesterday, is where the Lord intentionally allowed you to go through what you went through, these people to go against you in the way they have, you to do the things you did, them to do the things they did. The Lord gave the okay and everything you did and they did. He even gave the devil the green light on a lot of things, like he did in the story of Job. And the purpose for it was so that you could lead the way, to lead, like I said, check out my word that I put out yesterday, saying that you're like Moses leading your adversaries out of captivity. It's so that you can leave the world behind and get Satan off your back once and for all. Be baptized in the Spirit. Check, you've already done that. Now the second portion of it is to bring these people that deserve release, that deserve freedom, that deserve to be baptized in the Spirit as well, that deserve salvation and deliverance like what you've received, to follow you, to receive what the Lord has for them, their real portion. But in order for them to receive it, they have to follow the same steps that you took, which looks like leaving the world behind, telling Satan bye-bye once and for all for good, and being baptized in the Holy Spirit and being saved and delivered. And if you can be baptized, like in water, like actually physically water baptism, even better. But even if that doesn't occur, as long as you have your Holy Spirit baptism, you're baptized in the Spirit, then that's sufficient. The Lord can work with that, right? That's step one. So yes, but then meanwhile, others of these that make up this conglomeration, this army that have been coming against you, some of them are like completely evil, completely psychopathic, completely wicked to the root, to the core, and they work for Satan. They're his children, as we know the Bible talks about Satan's children. People like to argue this. I talked about this in the past too, and say that we're all a child of God. If we were all a child of God, then why does the Bible talk about Satan's children? Right? It wouldn't say that, but it does. And other scriptures, many scriptures talk about what the Lord does with the wicked, right? So obviously there is a separation. I don't make up the Bible, I just read it and speak it, you know what I mean? But anyways, so some of these people that have been coming against you are like the devil's sergeants, like whatever higher ranking is in the military. That's what these people are. They have no time for God. They are not up for saving. They're not up on God's list of who gets a set, redemption. They're not on any of that. They're on his judgment justice list. And those are the ones that he's going to do what he likes with. And those are the ones you need to pray for the most. Because as you know, as a follower of the Lord, when the Lord can do anything, and the Lord supersedes the devil. So if they think that the devil has done some dirty, they need to see what God's got up his sleeves, because it's of no match. And they're not going to receive that salvation and deliverance and freedom. And you need to pray for their soul, right? Because I'm sure we know what the outcome could be in that regard and what that looks like, right? So that's one part of on the spectrum of their outcome, and then somebody, like other categories, other people's outcome on the other end of the spectrum. And so some of these people knowingly come against you, yeah, they're going to get served justice for that. And some of these people unknowingly come against you. It's still bad. The Lord will teach them a lesson for doing so, but it's to their betterment, so they don't keep having to work for the devil unknowingly, because the Lord understands they're ignorant, right? They don't understand. Like I talked in yesterday's word about a baby. You would be upset if your 12-year-old wanted to play in traffic, but you wouldn't be as upset if your 1-year-old wanted to, because you understand that the 1-year-old lacks that awareness, that understanding. It's the same thing. The Lord understands that some of these people that come against you, they just don't grasp the concept. But others of them know exactly what they're doing. And those are the ones that are going to receive the harshest punishment, the harshest judgment, right? So I just wanted to say that, because the Lord was telling me that not every word. So the Lord is saying that there's people that come across my channel, either have already or will in the future, that are chosen ones, children of God. And some of my words and my messages don't always make sense to them. Yeah, that's because either that word or some parts of it are meant for it to address those who work for Team Satan. Because people from Team Satan come across my word too. Because there's a conglomeration, a mixture. So that's the thing, is that people with good hearts that the Lord wants to save dabble in dark arts with those who work for the devil, right? But then vice versa, those that have wicked hearts that work for the devil will also try to dabble and infiltrate into the people that work for God. And so you have this mixture going on. And that's why it's important that the Lord separates things, because it's not fair for someone with a good heart, but they've went down the wrong road, to suffer the same penalty that someone with a dark heart should. Because the person with the good heart is actually on God's redemption list, whether they know that or not. Their time just hasn't came yet, but the Lord has a plan for them down the road. And that's kind of what I was speaking about in my word yesterday, about how some passed these tests and some failed miserably. But even some that passed barely passed. And so many people are still lacking the awareness. And that's strategic. The Lord has it strategically like that they are in confusion and don't understand. Because like I said at the beginning of this message, if the other side knows what you're doing, then that's not very strategic, is it? So the Lord has things cloudy and fuzzy on purpose, because that's being strategic. So if you come across my word or other words that are truly sent from the Lord, and it doesn't all click, like some pieces fit and some don't, that's intentional. The Lord has purposely skewed it that way, right? Like made it that way on purpose, made it fuzzy, okay? Where you can kind of see, but not really. It's thank you. The Lord's saying hazy. He's made it hazy, okay? So if you're on Team God and you come across my word and other true prophetic voices, I know in my case, and this is why the Lord's asking me to put this word, not all of my messages may be for you or resonate for you, and maybe they do, but certain bits and pieces seem kind of off the wall. That's because it's meant to be. It's meant to be kind of hazy and foggy and cloudy and on purpose, and also to address those who are on the team darkness that come across my words and others. The Lord is speaking to them too through me and my message. And then vice versa. For those of you that represent Team Satan that come across my channel, my words, and other prophetic voices words, just a touch. I think so. I'm almost done. Other prophetic voices words. If not every single thing is clicking for you and you're trying to like take notes and, you know, work for your father, the devil, and figure out every little bit and piece to do what you can, that's not going to work because the Lord knows, right? And so that's the thing is like some people think, especially those that work for Satan's team, that God is just willy-nilly and sends his vessels out with, you know, no protection and no covering and no understanding and all this stuff. No, the Lord knows what he's doing before it even gets done, right? He's 10 steps ahead of everything. So if he's sending me, myself, or another true prophetic vessel out with a word sent out through us, through him, he's going to make sure that it's worded in such a way, it addresses who it needs to address, that there's a covering put over it before, during, and after. And, you know, so anyways, the Lord is saying that's the word. So anyways, that's the word. So I hope this makes sense. I hope it finds the right ones. I know it will in the Lord's will and timing. And again, like I said, so I hope this explains why if some of you are on the good team and you come across my words, some may click and some may seem off. That's because not every single message, word, statement, comment is for you, right? And vice versa. If you represent Team Devil and same thing, you come across my channel or maybe others that are truly anointed and appointed and doing what I do, you know, you're not meant to know anything, right? Really, right? And so you might read between the lines or think you are, but then, you know, certain parts aren't even addressing you. They're addressing a child of God and you're not a child of God. So anyways, I hope this finds you well. Take care and God bless.